Okay, hello. Um, so the purpose of this video is to, recommend good lefty, left hand controls, purpose of this video is just left hand controls. So, a lot of people might not know that, oh, there's lefties in the game, and that's what I feel like with most developers nowadays. They don't make good settings for most games for lefties. A lot of them are kind of dismissed, or even the settings are just poorly designed for them, where there's no variation or options. But luckily for this game, you can do whatever you want, because I'm buying any bind you want. But that wasn't the point I'm discussing. The point was like, good. Well, not good, but my left-handed controls. Um, like a game like this. I would feel that by now they should be able to give you the option to, have a left-hand perspective rather than the right-hand perspective. But yet, they haven't done that. But that's okay, because, we can work around with making our settings more suited for lefties, So, really quick, I'm going to skip the bullshit and just show you the settings I have. And you could copy them. You can, say they're bullshit or good. It's up to you. It's your choice on if you want to copy my settings, give them a try, and yeah. And I want to make this clear for all the right-handers that's watching this. Okay, it was intended for lefties. Okay, I'm gonna point that out right now. All right. So okay, here are my settings. So what I have normally is I have left trigger as shoot. Now, most people use right trigger to shoot, but since I use left trigger to shoot, it is the lefty setting, which is using left trigger to shoot. Instead of using left trigger to aim down sight, I have right trigger to aim down sight. This is, good, like I guess, if you're comfortable with your left hand being the trigger, like the dominant shooting hand. That's, this setting right here, this one, this is literally I have a paddle on actually. Literally you could probably change this if you don't have a paddle, it doesn't matter. I mostly play claw, but the only reason I have a paddle is because like you can't really claw the left side really well, like you can't with the Xbox controller. I mean, I've seen people that have done it, but it's just not very great how they designed the controller, but it doesn't matter. Now this mine, it doesn't matter, it's, it's whatever. Because let's be honest, no one really uses a D-pad unless it's like for certain things. Now Y is, Y for, to edit. Obviously, like I use Y to edit. That's literally the only way you can use that bind if you use claw. I'm gonna point that out right now. If you use claw, this is good for you. I would say if you use this, like the left stick to edit, that's good too. But this is what I do, and I use X to toggle pickaxe. I feel like this is the best like button you could probably have for a claw player, to have it on X for the toggle pickaxe. But it might be different for every claw player. I'm gonna point that out right now. But most that I've solved use mostly Y as the edit. Now you could use left stick as pickaxe, but personally I'd rather just use X as the pickaxe because it makes more sense, because it's closer and it's easier to press than left stick, I feel like, because I feel like with left stick you kind of have that weirdness where sometimes it feels like it's not responding, or it's responding way too quick. It doesn't feel consistent, if that makes sense. It's a weird button placement, but it's not the worst that I've seen. Now this pretty much this is pretty much Builder Pro settings, but except swapped. Like for instance, like the wall is left trigger. I just use left trigger for wall because for the longest time they didn't have lefty control for Fortnite, so I had to manually go to the Xbox and swap the triggers. So when that happened, it will swap the normally when wall used to be right trigger for me, I had to swap it to left trigger, and I would place wall with left trigger, even though it said I was using right trigger, but that wasn't true. But now since they added the custom binds, which we all know that like happened a while ago, I just decided just to swap this with left trigger at the wall piece, and I use right trigger to press up stair piece. And then I use the D-pad to place a trap, which you have to use a paddle unless you're comfortable using the left side of your controller for clawing. For the Xbox controller, that's up to you. I know PlayStations have pretty good controllers when it comes to clawing both sides of the controller. And then, same shit pretty much what's going on. You can have this different if you want. I honestly never used the rotate for shit. Let's see. Now this one. Now you're gonna be questioning and wondering why the fuck do I have right trigger as select if I'm a lefty? Well, here's why. So, normal people use right trigger to select, right? However, if you're a lefty, you would use the left trigger. But here's the thing that I've done in my personal experience is I separate the shooting mechanic and the selecting mechanic differently, like in separate categories. For instance, I feel personally this is faster to do than having the same bind at your shooting button. You can test this out and prove me wrong or right, it's up to you. But I feel if you're a right-hander, especially, I feel like you should have it on the left trigger, because you can separate the shooting button time to shoot, because if you say edit with the left trigger and then you switch to the right trigger to shoot, that's a little faster than having right trigger to select and then right trigger to shoot. There's a time delay. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's why I have it like that. If I were had it on left trigger, I was still saying with that same issue that most the righties have too. I don't know many that don't utilize this, but again, I'm not sure if it's faster or slower. It's up to you, but I personally feel it's faster to have these separate. If you're a lefty, you should have this on right. You should use right trigger to select. Now, if you're a righty, you should use left trigger to select your edit. Now again, this doesn't matter what your reset is. For me, it's up D-pad, but I use a paddle, so it's gonna be different for everyone. For this, if you're a claw, don't have a paddle, I think the best option you could have is right bumper or left bumper. I used to have right bumper as a reset. But the problem is that can just mess up really badly sometimes. X you could probably get away with doing. I can see someone getting away with X if you're playing claw. Now for someone playing regular on lefty, you could I don't know, you could have the maybe if you didn't have select as your other shit, you could probably get away with using right trigger as the reset or some shit, or even the confirm. But it's up to you, I just use this because I have a paddle and I might as well just utilize it, right? And then of course why is confirm. I don't do the double edit bind because it's just honestly I feel personally it's a waste. If you have the edit on release. Now, you could do the 3 edit bind, that's fine, but again, what's the point if you have the edit on release that came out? I don't know. I mean, it's slightly fast, but I don't think it's that. I think it's better to do edit on release. If you're on controller, you might as well do edit on release. Don't hold yourself back. This you can determine what joystick your dead zone can be. To be honest. So if you're ever using a new controller, you might as well just lower it. But if you're on a blown out joystick, I like to call it a blown out joystick, then you might want to raise it high. But personally, I don't bother ever chasing the dead zones, because if I'm using a new controller, what's the, like, you know, it's like eventually it's gonna get blown out, and then it's gonna get more and more worn out. So it's like I'm not gonna try to focus and do trial and error of like, oh, I need to raise it higher. You know, it's up to you if you want to do that. That's fine, but it's, you might as well just get used to it, where it's like totally worn out. There's no like that roughness. So again, it's up to you on that one. Now these, they're just not that big of a deal, other than like this one I feel like you should have. I don't know why anyone would not, unless you're really good with that 3 edit bind trick. So then sure, I guess. Auto pickups. Again, a lot of these are up to you, you know. This one, I would say majority should have their edit mode sensitivity a little bit lower. I have mine kind of high, but that's because I'm used to it. I can handle it. But this one, I can handle too, you know. This I like to keep the vertical and the horizontal the same. Like, I don't like to have one like higher than the other. To me, that never truly made sense for why some people do it. Like, you know, like, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, why why, like, you know, separate them? They should be all just constant, you know, like, you should be able to be the same as your horizontal or vertical. It should be the same. But some people like it because they say, oh, if you have 48 to 52, the 48 is a lot better when you try to do a pump shot to the head, which is okay, fine, whatever. I get that. But to me personally, I just like both these be constant. You should personally, I don't think you should have turning horizontal boost, especially on higher sensitivity. Like if you're like running 70 or something, like, why would you have turning horizontal boost? Like, you kind of want your sense to be constant. Like, you don't want to just overturn and shoot your guy, you know. And that's especially true on linear. Like, you don't want that to happen. In this, I just have it low because it's more, you get more better aim. And then same with ADS, I don't have a horizontal boost because I think your aim should be constant. I play on exponential. I know a good amount of people play linear, but for personally, the reason I play an exponential is because it's just like, why bother making the switch if I'm already been comfortable and been using exponential for years? Like, why put myself through that struggle? And then foot controller, it's just literally, you know, if you're on Xbox, you're not gonna be able to do foot controller. I'm just gonna say that right now. But you're on PlayStation, sure. I mean, on PC, sure, you can use it. Some people say it's good, some people it's bad. It depends on if, like, how you feel about this. It's not that big of a deal. And FPS really just based on your software. That's pretty much it. So yeah, that's my settings, settings for lefties. They're pretty much the same just as any normal settings, except it's just most of it's like swapped and some shit, you know. Now, if anyone like make a sensitivity video, like those big channels, like, please, like, mention us, like, help us out, you know, like, try to, you know, tell us like, hey, here's a lefty like guide on how to like play really good, you know, like, or something. A lot of those big channels don't like to do that nowadays, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like, maybe, you know, or Epic, give us more options to do, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, make us, we're able to, you know, like have left-hand perspective, you know. But anyways, that's pretty much it.